Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into a really critical section of Split to Survive, the case for a divided Israel.
That's right, Chapter 8, Part 1. It's called The Broadcast Justification and Allegations.
And the context here is, well, it's pretty dramatic. It's right after a military coup happens in the story.
Yeah, a coup aiming to split Israel into two states, the secular state of Dan and the religious kingdom of Judah. So high stakes.
Extremely high stakes. And this broadcast we're focusing on, it's happening immediately after. Its whole purpose seems to be damage control, right? Trying to prevent violence.
Exactly. Laying out the why they took such a drastic step, and trying to reassure people, keep things calm.
The person delivering this message is key too, retired General X. The book makes a point of highlighting his background.
His long dedication to Israel's security, it's clearly meant to give him credibility, make people listen seriously.
And the setting is tense. Temporary martial law, media, and internet are restricted, ostensibly for public safety.
So you can just feel the atmosphere, everyone glued to whatever device they can hear this on.
So our goal here, in this part of the deep dive, is really to understand what justifications, what specific allegations General X puts forward for this coup.
What's the case he's building? Let's get into it.
Okay, so General X kicks off the broadcast. He announces the revolution, confirms the temporary martial law.
But right away, he tries to sound reassuring. Safety's the priority, cooperate and you'll be safe, that kind of message.
Then, boom, the
Yeah.
big news.
Yeah, the detention of Benjamin Netanyahu, the former prime minister, that's huge. Plus, securing key facilities.
And he stresses he's got backup, right? Senior figures from the IDF, Shin Bet, Mossad, police.
Very important detail. And also mentions detaining Netanyahu loyalists. So painting it as a coordinated, well-supported move, not just him acting alone.
Then he uses this analogy, comparing Netanyahu to an abusive parent or spouse. That's quite something.
It really is. It's a very charged comparison, trying to frame the coup not as an attack, but as a necessary intervention.
Like protecting the nation from someone who's betrayed its trust.
Precisely. It taps into this deep emotional understanding, aiming to justify overriding normal procedures, because the leader himself is presented as the danger.
Okay, let's get into the specific allegations. The first one mentioned is the submarine affair. What's the core of that?
So the allegation is that Netanyahu approved selling nuclear-capable submarines to Egypt.
Okay.
And, crucially, that this went against advice from Olmert, the previous PM, and wasn't run by the security establishment properly.
Which you'd expect for something that significant.
Absolutely. Deals like that are usually under intense scrutiny.
And the broadcast mentions evidence.
It points to Netanyahu's own admission, apparently in a Channel 12 interview, citing his own words, gives it a certain punch.
But it gets more complicated. There's a conflict of interest mentioned.
Yeah, the broadcast brings up his alleged ownership of shares in his cousin's steel company, which was reportedly involved in the submarine manufacturing ordeal.
So suggesting personal financial motives might have been involved. Potential bribery, even.
That's the implication, yeah. Raises serious ethical questions about his decision-making.
And the alleged outcome.
General X claims Netanyahu obstructed the investigation into it all, which, if true, adds another layer covering things up.
Okay, allegation 2. The F-35 affair. Selling stealth jets to Saudi Arabia. What's the issue there?
The main concern is Israel's qualitative military edge, the QME.
Maintaining that military and technological advantage in the region.
Exactly. Selling top-tier tech like the F-35 to a neighbor, even when relations are complex with, like, Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
Well, it could potentially weaken that edge.
And it wasn't just General X saying this.
No, the broadcast apparently quotes former General Amos Gilad. He reportedly called this even more serious than the submarine issue for Israel's strategic position.
Wow. Okay. Citing another general adds weight.
Definitely.
Third allegation. The Qatari connection.
What's the gist here? This one's a bit less defined, maybe. The claim is that people in Netanyahu's inner circle allegedly took funds from Qatar.
Qatar being seen often as complex, sometimes hostile.
Right. And the unspoken suggestion is, could this money have influenced policy? Could it have reached Netanyahu himself? It's quite an insinuation, given Qatar's regional role.
Moving on, allegation 4. Weakened deterrence against Iran. Something about Dardale operations.
Yeah, the term used is Dardale. The accusation is these were sort of weak, maybe symbolic retaliations against Iran.
And the concern is?
That these weak responses actually emboldened Iran, made them more aggressive, potentially blurring the lines between conventional conflict and something much worse, risking major escalation. How best to deter Iran is, of course, a huge ongoing debate.
Fifth allegation seems to shift focus inward, a climate of fear.
Here, General X alleges that Netanyahu's associates were sending death threats.
Ew.
A whole range of people, judges, former PMs, attorneys general, prosecutors, even journalists, basically anyone seen as critical.
So, creating an atmosphere of intimidation to silence dissent.
That's the picture being painted, yes. A deliberate strategy.
Okay, next up. Concealed COVID-19 agreements. Why is hiding those agreements presented as such a big deal?
Well, the allegation is they were hidden for 30 years. That's an incredibly long time.
30 years, wow.
Yeah. And it means no public scrutiny of major decisions made during a global health crisis. It just screams lack of transparency, raises questions about accountability, maybe even corruption or mismanagement.
Allegation 7. Family influence and consolidation of power. What does that involve?
This is about the suggestion that Netanyahu's family members were wielding improper influence.
Interfering in governance.
And that key jobs were being filled not based on merit, but to concentrate power around the family. The broadcast frames it as, damaging to democracy.
Number 8 is very serious. Claims of a criminal organization based on police reports.
Extremely serious. The broadcast states that police reports suggested Netanyahu's inner circle operated like a crime family.
That's a heavy charge, suggesting systemic corruption.
Yes, illegal activity right at the top.
Then there's the withdrawal from Lebanon. What's the specific complaint there?
The core of it is that Netanyahu pulled troops out without setting up a proper security zone afterwards.
Leaving the north exposed.
Vulnerable to Hezbollah, yes. The broadcast even raises the specter of an attack potentially 5 times worse than October 7th.
And connects it to personal concerns.
It implies he prioritized avoiding potential ICC travel restrictions over the safety of citizens in the north.
10th allegation. Negligence leading to civilian disasters.
Right. General X specifically points to the Mount Carmel forest fire in 2010 and the Marin crowd crush in 2021.
Both with significant loss of life.
Tragically, yes.
Sure.
44 deaths in the fire, 45 at Marin. The allegation is Netanyahu's negligence played a role, either by not preventing them or by failing to act on recommendations from inquiries afterwards.
And there's a more recent example cited, too.
Yes, the 2025 Israel fires mentioned in the book. The broadcast apparently links them to budget cuts for firefighting planes.
Wow.
While, at the same time, a luxury government airplane was purchased. It's presented as a stark case of misplaced priorities, continuing a pattern of alleged negligence.
Number 11 revisits the Gilad Shalit prisoner exchange. Why bring that up now?
The argument made in the broadcast is that it was a strategic mistake, that releasing so many prisoners for Shalit against the advice of security chiefs like Yuval Diskin and Meir Dagan.
What was the alleged consequence?
That it basically encouraged more kidnappings and directly fueled Hamas, contributing to the October 7th attack. Prisoner exchanges are always controversial, but this draws a direct line.
Okay, 12th allegation. Personnel changes. Dismissing the defense minister and the Shin Bet head.
Yeah, dismissing Yoav Gallant, the defense minister, and the head of the Shin Bet, who apparently resigned under pressure.
And the concern is who replaced them.
Or who would replace them. The fear expressed is that Netanyahu appointed or planned to appoint unqualified loyalists, people chosen for loyalty over competence in critical security roles.
Politicizing the security services.
Exactly, which could weaken them, especially the Shin Bet, given its internal security role. The broadcast even warns about a future puppet being appointed.
And the final allegation, number 13, is maybe the most inflammatory. Authoritarian propaganda and police brutality.
It's incredibly strong language. General X accuses Netanyahu of running a propaganda machine comparable to Goebbels.
Wow.
And turning the police into something like the SS, citing brutal crackdowns on protesters using stun grenades, water cannons, causing severe injuries.
And warning of something even worse.
Yes, warning of a future like Nazi Germany's Gestapo, especially if a compliant Shin Bet head was installed. It's a terrifying picture.
So how does General X wrap up this first part of the broadcast?
With a direct, powerful condemnation, he calls Netanyahu a traitor to Israel's security.
Echoing others.
Yes, he specifically mentions warnings from former heads of Shin Bet and Mossad. He says Netanyahu became a domestic enemy, an internal threat, and this broadcast, this revolution, is to end this madness.
So let's sum up this first part. It's basically a nonstop barrage of accusations against Netanyahu.
Absolutely. Covering alleged corruption, negligence, betrayal of security interests, undermining democracy, fostering fear. It's comprehensive.
The goal seems crystal clear, to paint Netanyahu as such a danger that a military coup becomes justifiable, even necessary, in the eyes of the public.
It's constructing that narrative. He's not just a political opponent being removed. He's framed as the core threat that had to be excised to save the nation.
And we know this is just the first half of the broadcast described in the chapter. Part 2 apparently broadens the critique.
That's right. This part really zeroes in on Netanyahu himself. The next part, as the book lays it out, will likely criticize the wider government system and start outlining a vision for these proposed separate states.
Which brings us to the listener. Thinking about all these justifications laid out by General X, how does this shape your understanding of why this coup was attempted in the story?
Yeah, I mean, which of these allegations stand out to you as the most significant? The ones that might, in the minds of the characters in this narrative, carry the most weight in justifying such extreme action?
It definitely forces you to confront the sheer gravity of the situation presented in the book. Whether you find the justifications compelling or not, the broadcast itself is a powerful act of political framing, attempting to legitimize an extraordinary event by portraying the deposed leader as a profound national security threat. It's a really stark and unsettling scenario.